here. Today I'm going to talk about the online learning or asynchronous learning. As you know, this is a really interesting part about the technology in the EFL classroom. But what is this kind of situation? Like, what is actually the asynchronous learning? This is quite simple. As it said, it's asynchronous. It's not at the same time that it happens. So this means it's an online format who allows the students to study at their own pace and schedule. What does this mean? That you actually don't have a schedule to follow to keep like this, to keep learning. So actually you can study and learn in any way and anywhere you want. So this is very interesting. This method was so important when we have the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think it's actually one of the reasons that we watch it evolve. And it's very interesting because it promotes personalization, creativity, and adaptability in education. But what does this mean? We're going to see in the next minutes. First of all, as you know, as any kind of method to learn, it has advantages and disadvantages. Actually, one of them is that it offers flexibility to students and can study anytime and from anywhere. This means that I can be from, I don't know, Colombia and study in China just in a second. And flexibility because I don't know, I can study after I work, before I work, whatever I want, I can study at any time. But this is problematic at the same time because a disadvantage is that you lack of immediate feedback and interaction can allow them learning. As you know, some of us can maybe learn by interaction. And this is very interesting. This is very important because we need someone that actually help us at the time. But when this doesn't happen, we can lack on feedback, and this can make us learn in a more slow way. Then we have another advantage that is very important. I think support learners in balancing education with work and family commitments. This is very important because, as you know, when you can balance your time, you can actually do a lot of things. And this is a fact because when you're actually learning, sometimes you gotta leave your work or leave your social interactions with your family or friends because you have these kind of situations where you cannot do that kind of things because of your study. But with um, this kind of learning, you can actually equilibrate your life between your study. But this can lead to feeling isolation or reduced engagement because you don't are in a classroom full of students, and this can make some problems, especially in the engagement, because maybe you can get distracted, and this is very awful disadvantage. Then we have that this encourages independence, time management, and digital literacy. This is very important. For me, it's one of the best because first of all, you are independent, so you have to be very responsible with the things you do. Then we have time management because you actually can make your own schedule to study and have all the things that you do in your life, and digital literacy because you actually are going to know how to do these kind of situations with your computer, with your cell phone, I don't know, with the device that you are using. This also demands a high level of self-discipline and time management. As I said before, if you get distracted, if you don't focus on the thing that you are doing or other kind of situations that could happen, this can make you lose the discipline and actually make you don't learn. And you have to manage your time between what you're going to do before your class or after your class and in what you're going to spend this time, because if you mix them together you're actually getting a good kind of study and learning. Last but not least, develops transferable skills useful in academic and professional contexts, and without structured classes students may procrastinate or fall behind. Okay, this is quite interesting because when you develop this kind of skills, you can make your context in a professional way, and this could lead you to get a very interesting job, a very important job, because you are prepared for these kind of situations. In 2020, when we had the pandemic, almost all of the teachers don't know how to use this kind of things, but with the pass of the time, now it's easy and simple to do a Zoom or maybe a Teams to share with everyone. And then we have without the structured classes, the students might procrastinate or fall behind. This is the main problem, the main disadvantage, as I mentioned a lot of times before. We can fall in procrastination, we can fall on distractions, we can fall in a lot of things that make us don't learn. Well, now I explained these kind of things. Let's continue on commonly used. How you commonly use these kind of things? It's quite simple. A lot of platforms can provide us integrated environments. Tools can support specific learning tasks, and we have platforms like Moodle, Canvas, Coursera, ThinkFix, LearnWorld, and a lot of one. The most used, I think, even it's used in the universities here, it's Moodle. It's quite simple to use and it's not hard to remember how to use it or how to do the things. And tools that maybe we could use, Stage, Asana, Slack, Figma, and a lot of things that we actually are using now, like for example, Canva. These kind of situations can make us more comfortable or aware of studying. So I think it's very important to know this. It's not hard to use any of these tools and platforms. So you always have to be careful when you're using them to make a good use of them. Well, now let's see the impact that students and teachers have in this kind of learning. This is very interesting because students actually can learn in a more flexible way and they got autonomy. But what does this mean? When we are talking about the flexibility, we mean that students can learn from anywhere at any time, as we mentioned before. And this can join with the things they are doing. I don't know, maybe you're working in the morning, then you're going to receive classes all night. It's a kind of situation that you can happen. Then we have the autonomy. The autonomy is kind of interesting because with autonomy, we mean that we are our own saviors for teaching because we have to be concentrated to learn, to keep learning, to keep the follow of our activities, make a very important success on our learning can reduce sense of community due to limited real-time interaction. This is real. But in the pandemic, one of the most important things that happened after this was the isolation because some of us maybe feel afraid. This happened in the same because you are not in a classroom and this can make you feel bad. Teachers must invest heavily in preparing digital content. This is one of the most important things that a teacher have to do because you have to get a very good resources and digital content to make your students learn changes community dynamics and increases workload. Yeah, this is true because it's harder to for a teacher to create these kind of communities to make the students learn because you have to be very hard with these kind of things. You have to create material, you have to upload material, you have to create a space for the students and a lot of things that maybe a lot of work to do. And last, effective course design and support systems are crucial for success. This is very important, as I mentioned before. The use of maybe model be, simple doesn't mean that is you have to be very lazy on doing these kind of things. If you do it in a good way, you are going to create a very important, a very interesting way to learn, and this is very important for you and for your students because will have a very interesting impact, and you will have a lot of things to do and to keep going. Then we have comparisons between online learning and offline learning or in-person education. Well, first of all, in online learning, as we mentioned all the things before, requires digital competences and relies on real-time internet interaction. And in-person education or traditional education, maybe, it builds stronger social connections, follows a fixed timetable, and students get more direct guidance. But in the middle of this Venn diagram, we have they both for flexibility, but are student-centered and expand educational access. I think actually I'm a very fan. I'm very fan of online learning because I think you have a lot of tools to use. In I don't really enjoy doing well this kind of traditional education because I think sometimes it lacks of creativity and well, that's my point of view. But let's go to the conclusion. Transform education by offering flexibility and skill development. Challenges include maintaining engagement and connection and can be equally effective and more accessible when well design. This is very important. Now we're going to see what does this mean with our final product. For our final product, we create our own model or our own virtual classroom to show you how does this work. Well, okay, now we have our final product. In this case, is free. Actually, it's free. A free virtual classroom made on the tool Email Aulas that is powered by Moodle, where you can create your own virtual classroom. Our classroom is named Asynchronous Learning, and our phrase is Learning Beyond the Clock, Asynchronous Learning Adventures. As you can see, we have here our welcome, a little picture about what it's about, some interesting link like what is asynchronous learning. For example, it's all based on the thematic. We have this, we have asynchronous learning work networks as bigger to classroom, a lot of interesting points that you can see. Then we have Unit 1, building connections, introducing yourself in English. For example, as asynchronous learning, we can make a forum discussion where it's explained what you have to do. Key terms in asynchronous learning. It's a dictionary where you can put all of your things. Extra sources like learn about asynchronous learning, where you can upload this kind of methods, for example, approach method, and you can download it and actually learn from it. Then we have also evaluation where the students can do it. It's important to have an evaluation. Then we have the unit 2. But what is the point of this? The point of this is show that actually it's easy to make, it's easy to do your own virtual classroom. So I think this kind of situations where you can handle, where you say, oh no, it's hard to me to do virtual classroom, it's not impossible. There are a lot of sources that you can use, and this is one of them. Actually, this is our semi-made a virtual classroom where we can do all the things, for example. And this is our final product where all the things are joined together to show you that actually asynchronous learning is not hard to do. You can enjoy it, you can do it. It's easy to do, it's easy to solve. It's very interesting. It's very important for you to know that you sometime will have to do classes or you will need this kind of tools. So this is very important. I think all of us maybe have to learn these kind of things to so we can collaborate. We can learn with a lot of new tools, and this is important because you can make a lot of things. And that's it. I think this is our final product. I think it's important for us to show you how does this work, how does this mean for us, and actually, thanks to this, is easier to show that actually you can make your own virtual classroom and approach to asynchronous learning. I hope you enjoy it, and see you next time.